GTOmega just released their new extruded aluminum cockpit called the Prime. It has a very decent price, it promises to have some performance, and it has some quite decent features. A few weeks ago, GTOmega contacted me asking if I wanted to test it out. I said, hell yes. They sent the packages and it was sitting for a couple of weeks until they officially announced the product. So now, since the rig is for sale in pre-release, it was time to pull an all-nighter and build it. Unfortunately, it didn't go as I expected. Before going to the review, a huge thank you to the community. It's only through your support that I'm able to review this kind of stuff. Also, the necessary disclaimer. I received this sim rig from GTOmega and I have an affiliate link below and a pre-order affiliate link. So once you buy stuff through those links, I will receive some compensation. Therefore, take everything that I say with a grain of salt. The Prime has a cost of 570 pounds, 660 euros or 740 US dollars, and promises to be an entry to extruded aluminum. For that price, you'll get the cockpit and handy dandy shifter mount that can moonlight as a handbrake holder in the rail. Once it will come out, it will be all black, but I got the silver version, or as they call it, the reviewer version, or as I call it, the guinea pig you're gonna test it version. The pedal plate comes pre-drilled to be compatible with many pedal bases. It has an adjustable pedal position. The wheel plate is pre-drilled for Fanatec, Trustmaster, Logitech, and AccuForce. I built this sim rig 2 times, so I'm very familiar to it now. The instructions are clear to follow from the get-go. Picking up the profiles and plates, it is noticeable that it has extremely high quality build. The profiles are well manufactured and are as high quality as any others that I've used, but then again, I believe all profiles come from the same factory and are built to the same specification, so no wonder that's the case. The pedal plate and wheel plate are made of high quality materials, but the pedal plate does have a few issues that I'll be touching on a little bit later. And the wheel plate itself, it is very thick, it is very solid, to the point I think it is pretty much bulletproof. It's so thick that I needed new bolts to go through the bottom because the old ones that I was using in other sim rigs weren't good enough. The assembly process is a breeze for an aluminum cockpit, though it's here you can find that they skimped a bit to save costs. The T-slot nuts are of the spring leaf self-aligning type instead of something like a roll-in ball bearing. The result is just the same, though it's slightly more difficult to assemble and some of the spring leaf nuts can break, and that happened to me during assembly. The biggest issue that I had while assembling it was with the GTOmega XL RS chair, which they sell as a bundle. The seat doesn't go forwards or backwards enough, so it's very difficult to insert the screws into the nuts through the slots. It doesn't work quite well and you need to basically tighten to your hands, and the rear ones can be tightened with an Allen key if it's all the way tightened down, but the front ones won't be as easy, which is kind of weird because they're selling this chair in the bundle with the Prime cockpit, so I'm not totally sure if the new chair has the sliders corrected or not, but I didn't have a good time in doing the assembly. That part alone cost me about 30 minutes. If you have, for example, something that is a bucket seat with seat risers, it will be a breeze because it's totally differently assembled. But for these types of chairs with sliders that don't go forwards and backwards enough, you might have an issue. I didn't install the shifter portion, that would take me an extra 15-20 minutes. It is still super easy to assemble, but I guess if you are proficient enough and you have a bucket seat or a seat with a decent slider, you can assemble this rig from start to finish, including the pedal base, in about 90 minutes or so. When assembled, the rig is super sturdy. Even the lack of the front profile doesn't deter from a sturdy and stable rig. It simply does not move when shaken. Then it was time to assemble the equipment, and this is where all things come downhill with this specific rig. No matter what I've done in my first build, I couldn't get the pedal base to fit properly for me. First of all, the pedal base is very difficult to install, especially on the front part of it, which is the lower part of it. You have to fit it to a rail. When I first seated myself, I couldn't get comfortable with the pedal set. It was always too high. The only place I could find a decent comfortable position was when the pedals were sitting flush to the ground. What I've done was talk to Jardier about his sitting position. He said he did have a little bit of trouble, but he got it to the point that he wanted it to be. Then I decided to do a speed build stream to get a better comfortable seating position and do a better review of the Prime. And I was able to get a better seating position, but it's still not easy. There are a few issues with the plate. The plate is, once again, is very difficult to install. And if you need to use the sidebars that connect to the wheelbase, it is very difficult to move once you get it installed. Eventually, I did get a better seating position and I spent a few hours playing GT Sport in the Assetto Corsa Competizione, and I found something else about the plate base. For the CSL Elite load cell that I have in this specific rig, it is equipped with the 85 Shore rubber set that comes in the box. That is quite hard, not as hard as it could be. You do have a 95, which is about 80 kilos, but you can start to notice that the pedal base or the pedal plate does bend a bit, just a bit, but I suppose if you mount it with something heavier, you might start to feel like it bends a lot more. Herein lies the issue with the Prime cockpit. It is a very good, nice at first attempt, but there are some design choices that make it more expensive than it needs to be. First of all is the addition of the shifter. Not everybody is going to use it, so I didn't want to use it for my build. That means you cannot not choose the Prime without the shifter. You have to buy it with the shifter, which, you know, inflates the price. Then there is the design itself. The side plates are very tall, which makes the profiles more expensive and the end price to you more expensive. But if you go to something like a TR80, those use a very thin profile on the bottom, which is still able to take pretty much everything, which lowers the costs. It's slightly cheaper than this one while providing some of the same features. In terms of price, this will compete with the P1X, with the TR2, with the GT1 from SimLab. So I'm not totally sure if they are thinking of this correctly, especially when considered the pedal base, which could be improved in a further iteration. In terms of competition, in terms of non-extruded aluminum cockpits, there's the case of the Simatic K2R, which arguably has the best pedal plate there is in existence out of the box. It's a very good piece of kit, which does blow this pedal plate out of the water. In terms of recommending this Prime rig, it is not as straightforward as other equipment they have in their store. The price is at the same level or slightly more expensive with the issue with the pedal plate, but it brings the added value of having very thick extruded aluminum side panels that allows for future proofing. You can mount a lot of stuff within this and it will be super sturdy. It won't be the same as in the TR80, which has very low profiles, but the price of course there will be lower. In terms of improvements, GTOmega needs to do a few things for a next iteration of the Prime that will make it a better value. First of all is making the shifter something of a choice. If I don't want to choose it, I don't need to pay for it, which will drop the price of the shifter. Second, they need to bring a better pedal plate. Third, they need to make sure that the chairs they offer are actually easier to mount on this sim rig. The GTOmega Prime is solidly built. It is a good first attempt, but it needs to improve in some points. Thank you very much guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Tell me in the comments what you're thinking about this cockpit. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and hitting the notification bell so you'll see new videos and streams as they come out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.